If China were to abruptly halt all exports to the United States and European Union tomorrow, it would trigger a seismic shock to the global economy with far-reaching consequences. This scenario, while extreme, but it is possible. In this video, we will provide deep insight into the deep interdependencies of our globalized world and the critical role China plays as a manufacturing and export powerhouse. Number 1, immediate economic impact. The sudden ending of Chinese exports would cause immediate and severe disruptions to global supply chains. China is often referred to as the world's factory, and for good reason. In 2023, China's exports grew by 8.6% despite ongoing trade tensions, demonstrating its continued importance in global trade. The abrupt halt of these exports would leave many industries scrambling to find alternative suppliers and raw materials. Consumers in the US and EU would quickly notice shortages of many everyday items. Electronics, clothing, toys, and household goods would become scarce, leading to price spikes and potential panic buying. Companies like Apple, which relies heavily on Chinese manufacturing, would struggle to meet the demand for their products. Manufacturing sectors in the US and EU would face severe challenges. Many companies rely on Chinese-made components and raw materials. Without these inputs, production lines could grind to a halt, leading to layoffs and economic contraction. The scarcity of goods would likely trigger significant inflation in the US and EU, as alternatives to Chinese products are sought, often at higher costs. These increases would be passed on to consumers. Number 2, economic ripple effects. The immediate shock would ripple through the global economy, affecting various sectors and regions differently. Global stock markets would likely experience extreme volatility. Companies with significant exposure to Chinese manufacturing or the Chinese market would see their stock prices plummet. This could trigger a broader market sell-off as investor confidence wanes. The US dollar and euro might initially strengthen against other currencies as investors seek safe havens. However, the long-term impact on these currencies would depend on how their respective economies adapt to the new reality. Other countries would rush to fill the void left by China. Nations like Vietnam, India, and Mexico could see a surge in manufacturing orders. However, scaling up to meet global demand would take time and significant investment. Number 3, geopolitical consequences. The economic fallout would inevitably lead to geopolitical tensions and realignments. Already strained, the relationship between these two superpowers would likely deteriorate further. The US might respond with its own economic measures, potentially leading to a full-scale trade war or even broader conflict. The EU, which has been working to balance its economic interests, with growing concerns about Chinese trade practices, would be forced to reassess its relationship with China. This could lead to a more unified EU stance on China, aligning more closely with the US position. Countries might be forced to choose sides in an increasingly polarized global economy. This could accelerate the trend towards deglobalization and strengthen the formation of separate economic blocs even further. Number 4, long-term adaptations. While the initial shock would be severe, economies and industries would eventually adapt to the new reality. Companies in the US and EU would accelerate efforts to bring manufacturing closer to home or to friendly nations. This could lead to a renaissance in domestic manufacturing, even though at higher costs. The need to quickly develop alternative supply chains and manufacturing capabilities could spur rapid technological innovation. Automation, 3D printing, and other advanced manufacturing techniques might see accelerated adoption. Countries heavily dependent on trade with China would be forced to diversify their economies. This could lead to the development of new industries and trade relationships. Number 5, impact on China. While the focus is often on the impact on the US and EU, China itself would face severe consequences from such a drastic move. China's economy, which has relied heavily on export-led growth, would face a severe contraction. Unemployment would spike, potentially leading to social unrest. Such an extreme move would likely result in China's further isolation from the global economic system. It could accelerate efforts to exclude China from critical supply chains, particularly in high-tech sectors. The economic pain caused by this decision could lead to internal political pressures on the Chinese government, potentially threatening its stability. Number 6, environmental considerations. The restructuring of global manufacturing would have significant environmental implications. The immediate shutdown of Chinese factories could lead to a short-term reduction in global emissions. However, this would likely be offset as production ramps up in other countries. The rush to establish new manufacturing bases could lead to environmental concerns, being sidelined in favor of rapid economic development. Conversely, it could provide an opportunity to build more sustainable manufacturing practices from the ground up. The scenario of China completely halting exports to the US and EU is extreme and unlikely, unless we're going to war. However, examining its potential consequences highlights the complex interdependencies of our global economy. It underscores the risks of over-reliance on a single country for manufacturing and exports, a concern that has been growing in recent years. The reality is that the global economy has become so intertwined that such a drastic move would cause severe harm to all parties involved, including China itself. This mutual economic dependence serves as a deterrent against extreme actions and underscores the importance of maintaining open dialogue and finding common ground in trade disputes. Thank you for watching. We hope you found this video interesting and informative. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share the video if you enjoyed it. This will help us a lot and we owe it all to you. And as always, stay safe and stay blessed.